Okay, quick reaction to the debate. Not sure how many of you guys care. Biden, substantially better performance than I would have expected. Just keeping it a buck, substantially better performance than I would have expected. Couple of things that stood out to me off the top. I think he came out stronger. Trump answered the question well about why should he not get a judge in. That's what happens when you're president. You get a Supreme Court judge. And I thought he answered that question very well. I think it was very like they were just kind of tiptoeing around, and it's like, listen, just. By the way, I don't agree with the judge on trying to overturn Obamacare. That's not cool. I don't think we should overturn Obamacare, but I think his answer for that was good, even though I don't think we should overturn Obamacare in the middle of a pandemic. In the sense that when they went back and forth on healthcare, I thought Biden had really good points, and that Trump hasn't had an alternative for healthcare, if we're being honest. He just doesn't. He just hasn't. He signed a bill to make it so you can't discriminate against pre-existing conditions. So on that side, I think Biden, is kind of a zinger. I'm very impressed for Biden for standing up, for keeping it together, for not falling apart. He did towards the end. Let's see. In terms of the biggest L I saw for Trump in this, he had an easy opportunity. Again, he's condemned white supremacy before, but he had a very clear opportunity to outright condemn white supremacy. He didn't. You heard Joe Biden say that he was for law and order. You heard Joe Biden say that he was not for defunding the police. He's actually trying to increase police resources by sending social workers with them on mental health calls. So he's trying to increase the budget for police. So in the way he answered those questions, he kind of picked apart the caricature that he's with the radical left. He's a socialist, your party. And he stood up and he said, I'm the party, which I was like, whoa. My man said he's the party. Very, very interesting. This entire thing looked like an SNL skit gone wrong. It was really interesting. Chris Wallace had a really hard job. I think it was interesting that Biden kept looking into the camera. He was very presidential in that sense. He kept looking into the camera. That was interesting to me. Trump kept cutting him off a lot. He kind of bullied him, kind of threw his weight around. I don't know if that's going to work in his favor. I'm really curious to hear from you guys. I only want to hear from the Proud Boys stand by. That was weird. I'm really curious only for those of you guys that are unsure who you're going to vote for. Does this debate change your mind? I'm not voting for either of these guys primarily because, one, I'm politically agnostic. You can go get your politically agnostic t-shirts at kingsdreament.com/store. But one, because I'm politically agnostic. Two, because I'm in California and my vote really doesn't matter. And three, because I want a third option for the next debate. If 5% of the vote goes to a third party, Libertarian Party, which is probably the way I'll vote, they will have debate present stage next time. So there won't just be two guys on a stage like this. There'll be three guys, third party. I think will be good. It will bring us out of this archaic phase that we are in as America, one of the only industrialized nations with two parties. That's wild. But that's why I'm doing it. If I was in a swing state, maybe I would feel more like pressed to vote. But I think a lot of times, listen, if you're not in a swing state, the election is decided by like one of 6 or 7 states, right? So if you're in a Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Arizona, Nevada, those are the states that are really deciding this entire thing. So, in terms of the debate overall, I think Joe Biden exceeded my expectations. I think Trump kept going after his son. He stood by his son. He didn't, he did his best to try to dispel like your son got, $3 million for this. He couldn't really clap back on that point, but he did his best. He said he stood by his son, said his son had a drug problem, said his other son was in the military, did a good job of speaking about that. I thought that was handled really well. I thought Trump answered very well when it came to the climate and global warming. He said, hey, can it be influenced by the environment? Yeah, to some degree. I think he did a very good job answering that specific question. He didn't look like he completely checked out and just said some wild, unscientific stuff that's been debunked, I guess, to an extent. And I thought that was good. I thought a lot of times you see conservatives just kind of ignore and look the other way when it comes to climate change. So I thought he answered really well. And I think my personal opinion in terms of climate change is I think we're going to turn that page as an industrialized world through technology, not necessarily through policy. I think we should consider policy, but I think the more you see stuff like Teslas being made for $25,000, where everybody can afford a car that's completely electric, that's where we're going to start seeing that. So I thought Trump did a good job answering that. I think he did a bad job answering the race question, the condemning white supremacy. Bad answer there. He could have done a much better job answering that. Joe Biden completely not completely, but he gaffed pretty bad at the end. Do you support the new do you support the Green New Deal? I do support the Green New Deal, but I'm talking about my deal, not the Green New Deal. Just messy. He messed up there. Very clear. Dropped the ball there. That's going to be a soundbite all over Fox News tomorrow. The left is going to run with the Trump won't condemn white supremacy. Definitely going to be a talking point. All in all, man, I think Biden exceeded my expectations. I think Trump, Trump is Trump. I think Biden also just looked a bit more presidential. He's surprised. He kept looking into the camera. He just would stop and look into the camera. So from a body language standpoint, I think he did a good job when you're comparing just body language, right? When you're comparing just body language. I think Florida is still a swing state. So if you're in Florida, if you're in, I think, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, I think those are kind of the states that are going to decide this election. So for me, that is why I am not, I'm not voting for either of these guys. Again, maybe if I was in a state where my vote really, really mattered, maybe I would consider it. All in all, this was extremely entertaining to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. This was extremely entertaining to watch. I had a blast watching this live. I had a blast reacting to it live. I had a blast engaging with you guys in the comments. I want to know what you guys think. Like, again, if you're Team Trump or Team Biden, your mind is already made up. Cool. Like, I'm not mad at you. But I want to hear from you guys that are on the fence or not quite sure. You're kind of swinging. Did this sway your vote? Did this kind of change your perception, right? There's a lot of really interesting things brought up. It got a little messy with the families. It got a little messy with the economy. Who really did Trump inherit the economy that Biden and Obama built, or did he actually take the economy to the next level? Biden is saying, hey, we got the economy from a Republican, George Bush. It was a really bad recession. We got it out. We handed you a good economy. I thought his attack on Trump in terms of the COVID stuff was good. Trump didn't really have any clapbacks. He just kept saying, it would be 2 million if you were president. If under your watch, it would be 2 million. And really good clapback. All in all, very entertaining debate. Honestly, my prediction still is, Trump just can't lose. Biden can't lose. If Biden doesn't lose based on all the stuff, they talked about the taxes. He gave a fairly clear answer on the taxes. He didn't outright say, no, I did not pay $750 in federal taxes in 2016, 2017. He didn't quite say that, but he pretty much said that. I thought he could have answered that more straightforward. But I think, listen, my prediction, I've predicted this before. My prediction, as long as Biden doesn't completely lose a debate, based on all the stuff, the political turmoil with him trying to get the judge elected, which is his right to do so, but in the middle of a pandemic, alluding that you're going to undo this Obamacare thing, not a good look. I think this is what I think is going to happen. I think Trump gets the judge. We get a conservative judgeship in the Supreme Court, but I think that, unless something really crazy changes, I think they lose the election. Biden becomes the president. I take a L on my taxes. And hopefully, the Republicans come with someone reasonable next 4 years. Hopefully Kamala Harris does not become president, because, gosh, that would be bad. That's really I think one of the worst things that could happen in this situation, if I'm going to be all the way honest with you. I'm all for people being represented everywhere, but goodness gracious, she got some shady history as a district attorney here in California. So I think this is going to be a really interesting time, man. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? And again, don't leave no wild, like, oh, they're all blah, blah, blah. This person's evil. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear reasonable, thoughtful comments from you guys. And I want to hear from people specifically who have not made up their mind yet. Maybe there's not a lot of you guys. But all in all, big idea. Listen, big idea. Politically agnostic. Why am I politically agnostic? Because what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House or who gets into the White House. If one president can screw this whole country up, then this country is already doomed. That's my opinion. That's why I'm politically honest. I don't put my faith in these guys. I'm going to do everything God's called me to do. I'm going to be fine. But just remember that. Remember that. Don't get emotional about this stuff. Don't get upset. This is entertaining. It's good entertainment. You have your political conviction. Lean into those. Support who you're going to support. But what happens in your house, and that is a Dave Ramsey quote, what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House. I want you guys just to be thinking of that. Let me know, what do you guys think about this debate, man? How do you think it went? I think it was amazing. I can't wait for the next one. I'm curious to see how the VP debate goes. I wish Joe Rogan did one. I think that would be the best thing. You got to work in some pee breaks, you know. But, yo, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Y'all have a blessed night. Listen, don't let this stuff take up your mind. Don't get freaked out by this stuff. Don't let it overwhelm you. Ultimately, we have a country where there's 3 branches of government. There's a Supreme Court. There's checks and balances. Ultimately, you are in control of you. And that's the most important thing. So be in control of the variables you can control. The things you can't control, don't stress out worrying about those. All right? Love you guys. Peace.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.